live. So I'm working on OpenPlayground, the web application to help you test and compare and use large language models. This is going to be released open source, hopefully in a week. So just crunching on a load of little to-dos that are left outstanding. So I'm just going to be moving forward with that list. Mainly small, probably boring tasks, but that's what we're here for. So now here's my list. First thing is I've noticed there are some listeners stacking up and causing some really heavy loads on the app. So I noticed that when I refresh the page, let's get rid of these console logs wherever they're coming from so that we've got a clear slate. So I'm in my VS Code, the OpenPlayground repository. Just going to find any console logs I've got going on. Yeah, don't need that. Don't need that. Keep that. Let's see here. Right. So I've noticed that when I change the provider here, look how this stacks up. Console logging, playground text area input, and it's multiplying and multiplying. So I think there are some listeners being added where they don't need to be. So let's find the place where that's where that message is coming from. So it's playground text area input. Now this is the message that's being logged over and over again. So I'm obviously calling add editor listeners much more than required. Looking at this, I suppose this only ever needs to be called once. There are some elements of the application which get updated and you need to add the listeners for those again after they're updated, but I don't think this element ever goes away. So where is add editor listeners being called? It's being called in the render, which is called often. I need to let me try moving this add editor listeners to the init listeners, which should only be called once. So if I put that at the beginning, let's see if that resolves the issue. Refresh. Boom, boom, boom. Interesting. It's less, but it's still a lot. So init listeners should only be being called once. Yeah, and that's in the constructor of the page view that we're working in. So where else are those listeners being added? So the message was playground text area input. Is that being... and that's only ever coming from here. So how many times is this being called? Let me see. Right, so should be happening once there. I'm doing this and it's not being called again. It's not being called again. So how are those listeners stacking up? Where else are we triggering? Where are we triggering the event of input on the playground area? So let me search for input and see if I'm manually triggering it anywhere. I'm manually triggering it every time I set the playground content. Let me see if I... Now I shouldn't be calling this just by updating this, I'm sure. Not sure enough, clearly, because it's happening. So if I were to comment those out, is this still happening? No, it's not happening here. But it is happening if I update the text. So see, that's the behavior we want. I sneezed. So, the only reason I'm manually triggering these, or specifically triggering these events here, is that when I set the playground content or change it programmatically, I want that event to trigger, because then that will save the current content to local storage and other things that I want to happen when the content is changed. So I want this, but so clearly if I change the provider, set playground content, which one is being called? Let's see. Okay, let's see if this is still the case there. Yeah, no, it's this. So it's set playground content is being called I would say erroneously. So let's see where it's being called. Ah, yes, here. Because when we update the provider, then we are calling render. Let's just see that. So yeah, this is being triggered when we update the provider, and then we're calling render because we want various other things to update. But we don't need everything to update, we just want the settings panel to update. So if I go to render, could we abstract some of this out into just the render settings? We've got a render settings here, but it looks like there's some more logic. Set up the settings panel. Do we need to run that again? Yes, I think so, because different providers have different settings panels, different settings which are associated with that provider. So we're creating a new settings panel with the schema that is available for that provider. So we do want to be running essentially this when we update the provider, but we don't need to do anything else, I believe. Maybe update listeners. So I could move this to its own method. What would it be called? It's what we want to happen when a new provider is selected. So we could call it, we could have a method that's change provider, and that will handle this and changing the global provider variable. We could try that. So let me create a new method. Change language model provider is what we want to do. So we're going to have this stuff here. Yeah, we're going to change the global provider there, and then we're going to we're going to set up the settings panel, which will handle rendering the settings for that are valid for that provider. We're going to load anything from local storage which is associated with that provider, such as API key and previously set settings, and then we're going to render those settings into the panel. So I think this is promising. So the question remains about so the provider is that the currently set one or the default, and then we run change language model provider, and then that should all be the same. This should be provider. No, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. So I think this should all work the same as it did. But now I want to go back to when we changed the language model provider. This is where we change language model provider like that. And we also want to do this to set the local storage item. So let's add that to the end here. So that's cool. And now I'm thinking that this is more concise and reusable, and also hopefully won't be triggering the unnecessary updates that we didn't want. So let's have a look now. This looks good. Nothing's coming up in the console, so and it seems to be functioning. The settings are updating, I can see that. So I think that might be that one dealt with. So we can remove and everything's set. So if I go to OpenAI and then I refresh the page, oh, it's gone back to Cohere. So this is where, that's because of this. I want to load. This is where we want to load it from local storage. So where else? Where would be doing that? I should be doing that from somewhere. Set up settings panel. So this is where we're getting the language model provider from local storage. Yeah, if it's not already set. This is the logic I think we want to move up somewhere else. Well, I think we can just do this at the top. So during the render function, we use the language model provider if it's set, and if it's not, then we load from local storage, and if not, then the default provider. So let's see if this works. So I go to OpenAI, I refresh, now it's still on OpenAI. Okay, so I think that's cool. Now the question is, do we still need in the setup settings panel method, do we still need this? Because at this point this is never going to be null. It's going to be at it's going to be at least the default provider. So I don't think this should ever get called. So what's that complaining about? Yeah, because this could be null from the TypeScript point of view, but I'm saying it shouldn't be. But it doesn't hurt to have this. That makes sense, because we might want to change things around in the future, and let's just keep it like this because it works. So I'm pretty happy with that. That seems to have fixed that problem. So I'm gonna say that's done. So the next thing is, I've been working on this preset panel, and currently I've got it. You click on presets and then you get this expanded area with the preset table, and you can load a preset and it works like that. And I think this is okay, and I could try a different approach where it's in a modal, where it comes up in an elevated box, but I think this is pretty much just as good. So I'm going to just do a few tweaks here. I'm going to have this hover over to load preset rather than load. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So go to and that's in the presets table component which I've created, and I'm going to add the title to load preset. Just a bit more explicit, that's fine with me. I might just add a little bit of shadow to this this border so that it looks more like it's an overlay. So I'm going to go to I created all of this, I've called it a drawer, that expandable panel. Funnily enough, I've called it right drawer when it's clearly a left drawer. So I'm going to rename all of that first of all. Left drawer, left, left. Now I go to the playground view. No, it's in the base view where I've chose to put this draw functionality so that it's available to all other views, which I think is good. So yeah, got a load of things. Rename the file. Right drawer, left drawer. I mean, in the future it might just be a drawer, and I can specify whether it comes out from the right, the left, the top, the bottom, but I'm not going to get involved with that until I need to. So this is still complaining. Components, left drawer. Sometimes this happens. It doesn't update, but I think I've updated everything. Left drawer.html, left drawer .ts, playground import, no. The base view class imports components left drawer. Oh, there we go. This is another left drawer. And in the playground view, actually, we're still referring to it in places as so left drawer. Haven't got any to deal with this at some point. Right, is that running? Any errors? No. Everything seems good. So now that that's done, I'm going to see to some presentational points. So the first of all, on the left drawer, I want a bit of shadow on the border, so shadow to the right side is exactly correct. That seems good enough for now. Quite like that. Now the next thing is I'm thinking maybe move this header up in line with these. So I'm going to go to where I'm setting the content in it, the left drawer. Presets panel HTML, that's what I'm putting in there. So I actually want a header here. Presets. And now let's see what this gives us. I want this. This is the right alignment, but I want it over on the left. So this is currently in a class row right. So I actually want this to just be a row, and then we're going to have those buttons in a sub row. Let's see if this works. Yeah, this is what I want. And now I want to get rid of this header, which is a header on the table, which you don't need anymore. So let's set that. And now, yeah, I think this is cool. Could maybe be a bit bigger actually. Let's have it a H4. See what that's like. Yeah, I think this is good. Quite happy with it. Now then, what else am I dissatisfied with here? Ideally I wouldn't have the columns change size when different rows are showing. I'm not going to deal with that just now, I think. Search works. Very nice. So I think this is good enough to be getting on with actually. Can't see any immediate improvements. So let's say that's okay for now. I'm not going to try out a modal. I think this is fine. Oh, maybe I'll have it so that you can close the drawer by clicking outside of the drawer. So you don't have to click this button always. I think that would be worth doing. So I think users will want to click this and then just quickly close it by clicking outside of it. So let's see about that. So I have my left drawer component here, and I want to basically add a listener, which is a click anywhere outside of it. So let's see if Copilot, wow, close the drawer when the user clicks outside of it. Amazing. Alright. Copilot, let's see what you've got. Well, now it's not working. So what's gone on here? Ah, I see. This is running. I'm clicking it and it's closing it immediately because this listener is being set up when we are loading the component, when really I only want it to be active once the drawer is open. So let's try adding this to the open. Now it's going to have problems because then it won't be working with the toggle, and also once it's been opened once this will be set, so there are problems with this. First of all, it doesn't seem to be working at all as intended. That's because we're not calling open. Right, so we're using toggle, that's why. So maybe toggle should be, yeah, that will call. So let's say if, then do close, otherwise do open. And that's, yeah, so that's not working. Probably for the same reason. We could do if it's open, then close it. So if it's open, then close it. That's alright, so let's log this. Let's log some stuff. Clicked outside the drawer should appear in the console. No, that's, well, I am clicking outside the drawer. So yes, but it's not opening because closing drawer. Yeah, so closing drawer is going, but what about open drawer? So let's go to the presets, show presets button. Do I want to call that show presets? It's probably already pretty pretty obvious what it should do, but show presets. It's a bit more clear. No, I don't think we'll need that. Might have a double chevron though. Double arrow. How do you do that? Right. Arrow. Let's try this angles right. Just see whether it feels any better. Angles right. Yeah. Let's just keep it like that for now. Yeah, it's kind of shows that something's going to open. I need to plug in my laptop. Right. So, where were we? Getting this close to work. So, So in the playground view, yes, when you click the show presets button, we're currently toggling it. We don't actually want that. If you click the show presets button, it should open. But the problem is, this listener is, so if we remove the close there, then that's as normal. So that's good, because look, I'm clicking outside, and here if I click inside, it's just that we can't, it's just that when I click the presets button, I see. It's because this should run before it opens. Otherwise, the class is going to be open. I mean, we could have another bit of state to manage, which is like is open. Prefer not to do that. Seems like it must be able to do it this way. So what we're doing is we're calling open. So this is running before we do this check as to whether it's already open, and then we're closing it immediately. So we could have a bit of state that registers whether I think that would be fine. It's not going to get out of hand, is it? I want to think about whether there's a slightly better way to do that. Open. Probably not worth the effort there. So let's have something like an is open, and after we've added open, then we update is open. And then only if it's open. This is going to be the same as what we already have, isn't it? Yeah. How can we know that so we're calling open, we're adding the class open, and then our global click handler is running. I wonder if I can get Copilot to suggest anything here. Don't think we need this. I don't think that's going to help. Yeah, now that is what we want. We want the click handler to run before I'm not sure that this is going to make any difference here. Worth a go though. No. Maybe if there's some way inside this listener to if we were able to say we want to make an exception to say, yeah, you've clicked outside the drawer, but we've actually clicked on the button that wants to always open it. So it's an option to have some idea of, to let the drawer component know about buttons which should always open it, and then this listener will check whether you've clicked on one of those and it won't close it if that's the case. That would work. So at the moment I'm tempted to do that. I think it makes sense. So let's do it until a better solution comes along. So open buttons. Well, we want to have elements which cause opening. What's a good name for it? Open triggers is good. Open triggers is good. So you click somewhere in the page, and if the target of that click is not the drawer that we're in, and it's not one of the open triggers, then close. Yeah, is trigger. I've had some issue with these this sum statement. What's happening here? Let's get rid of this. Start again. Okay. is outside draw, and now if it's a trigger, no, we don't want to toggle. If it's outside the drawer and it's not a trigger, then close. That is what we want. So now I just need to pass those open triggers to the left drawer component. So I'm back in my playground view, and when I init the left drawer, I'm going to pass it the show presets button as an open trigger. So we go this dot left drawer dot open triggers is we add the show presets button. So let's see if this works. Oh, look at that. Click inside the drawer, it stays open. Click the button, it closes. Click the presets button, it opens, and I click outside the drawer and it closes. That's it. That's what we wanted. Didn't have that on my list, but that's what we're doing. Presentational things here, little UX improvements. So what else? What else is dissatisfactory around here? So in the runs, I need to add a bit of documentation here to the kind of presets which are allowed for creating a run. So maybe I should have a little tooltip here. So I'm just going to do that. So we have the new run form, and what I can do is, if I remember it correctly, I can have a tooltip. And then let me have an icon and then we're going to have tooltip text. The text is going to say, this is going to tell us about the allowed presets. You know, I actually want it here in here. So this might not be the layout I want right now, but let's just get this set up. So only presets which have a placeholder that shows where to insert the have a prompt, have a placeholder in the prompt. The placeholder which shows where to put the text from each record in the prompt can be used to create a run. I was going to use some work, but let's just proof of concept here. That's almost what we want. I want it on the other side. So what about this? New presets which have a placeholder. Yeah, so the text is going to need some work, but let's just give it a little more space there. It's nice. think that'll do. Can I shorten this and make it clearer? Only presets which have a placeholder in the prompt can be used to create a run. Probably want to point to some documentation there. Maybe an exclamation mark. Doesn't exist. Exclamation circle is what I want, but it doesn't. Well, I want this, don't I? Circle exclamation. Probably I don't have access to it, I think it's got to be the solid version. That'll do. I kind of prefer what we had before. Regular question. Yeah. Let's have that for now. Well, at least it gives you some idea as to why. It gives you a clue as to why there's only 2 presets showing here when in my list I have 3. It's because these 2 are templates. They need to have a placeholder for the text so that you can. That shows where we're going to insert the record text. I'm just going to replace the placeholder with the record from the dataset. So that all makes sense, and that was on my list. Was it not? Well, it was on my mental list. So here's a candidate thing to do next. Can't delete the. We shouldn't be able to delete the preset if it exists in the run, if it's being used by a run. For instance, I go in here and I want to delete this preset, but it's being used by one of the runs. So we could put in that check. Or we could just have that if you delete the preset, you delete the associated runs. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that for now. Or alternatively, we just don't prevent that. If you delete the preset, I'm really liking this click outside to close. Glad I did that. So if I delete this preset, no, if I delete the keywords template preset here, delete it, it's gone. Not sure I want that to. See that closed because I've technically clicked outside the drawer. Oh well. Minor improvement to make later. Then I go to the run and then the preset is no longer found. I think that's fine. That's fine for now. It's been deleted. You deleted it. Doesn't exist. Is that going to cause problems? That's going to cause errors. Yeah. So maybe we shouldn't allow it. Would be simpler just to. At the moment, the back-end logic assumes that if a run exists with a preset, that preset exists. So let's just have the cascade delete. If you delete that, then the rest delete. So now I've got to delete these because they're faulty. So I'm going to recreate that template. It's exactly like this, fortunately. Keywords template. There it is. So Let's create a run like that. And now in the playground view, no, it's in the presets table. If you delete, then no, delete here. Are you sure you want to delete it? Here's where we want to do the check. So check for runs which use this preset, warn the user that they will be deleted. That's exactly right. So get the runs using the preset. That is what we want. So we want, let's say the message, are you sure you want to delete? Yes, and then yes, if runs is using the preset, then we add this preset is used by those other runs. Let's say run names join it like that, and then we're going to add the run names just so you can see, yeah, these ones will be deleted. And then we're going to confirm with that message, and then if you agree, then we're going to delete the runs using that preset. And then we're going to delete the preset, and I think we're good. I think we're good. So now we're going to test that. I come here. Oh, what's happened here? Oh, I see. It's because that's a default preset that I deleted. You shouldn't be allowed to delete default presets. So let's do that. Let's disable that delete first. But we do need to figure, there's a bunch of things to figure out here. So shouldn't be allowed to delete default, shouldn't be allowed to delete example presets, and then what's gone on here is that the check for whether that example preset exists is seeing that it already exists, so it's creating new ones and new ones and new ones and new ones. So I just need to stop this from being a runaway thing. If it doesn't exist, I should probably just check for equality of the whole preset rather than just the name. Yeah, let's do that. Well, yeah, can't see a better way. What I should do maybe is check for if something already exists with that name, and if it does, then check that it has the same everything else before. Well, if we can't delete them, then it's not going to be a problem, is it? No, it will be a problem because this is caused by me creating. I shouldn't be allowed to create. I shouldn't be able to create a preset name that already exists. Hopefully that should solve the issue. So first thing I'm going to do is stop you from being able to delete it. So we want to disable the delete if it's an example, and add a tooltip. So I'm going to take this delete button out, and we're going to say delete button and the delete button in a HTML is going to be, oh no, it's not going to be that. We just need to add all of these things. So the class is going to be outline icon. Just give we're going to do the click listener later. We really want to set the dataset action and the dataset ID, preset ID. Now I think that's all good. So there's our delete button, and then if, oh yeah, I've lost the icon that. So so if I do it's before the share button. Oh no, it is still here, this icon. So it's in the end it's FA solid FA trash. I can get rid of that, and instead I want to put there the delete button. Now will that work? Will that work? I don't know. We'll try it. No such thing as outer HTML. Will this work, I wonder? No. Oh, you're not allowed to do that. There we go. That's still fine. And does this still work? It does work, but I wouldn't like to close the drawer. Oh, we'll have to get to that. So now the conditional part. If it's an example preset, disable the delete button. Preset is, yeah, that's it. That's what we want. Disable. Yeah. That's not quite how I wanted it. I just want it to be grayed out, but not with a box around it. So I'm gonna have to go into the old CSS here. We've got our icon button. Now, button icon disabled. We don't want any background. So this needs to be even more grey. There we go. I don't want it to have any hover over either, so it's hover needs to be the same, and no pointer. Cursor not allowed. I think that makes sense. So, but now how do I get rid of all these ones? Should have a message saying you can't delete an example preset, but you can hide it using the checkbox above. So I could do that. I could say that if it's an example, then the inner HTML is going to become a I like this. Will that work? Not quite. Why not? That's what we want. Not sure I really like the disallowed. Can I just have normal? Auto. What's the normal one? Pointer? No. What's the normal cursor? Default? Yeah. So now I just need to get the tooltip text showing. Not quite sure why. So if I go to my style sheet, tooltip. If I look for other examples where I've used this. You have a tooltip class, and you put things in it, and then, yeah, this is what I want. Span class tooltip text. Ah, I had the class name wrong. So back to here. Span, that's what we want. That's cool. Sample presets cannot be deleted. But you can hide them. So let's add that. So I need these to be showing and not being hidden by the end of the container. So I happen to know that I could do that by I want to go to my presets table CSS tooltip tip text position absolute right 0. Will this make any difference? No. Position to the left. I see, will that do anything? That's an improvement, isn't it? Do it even more. Yeah. It's not the best, but it's visible. But it's a bit annoying. I don't really want the arrow there if the arrow is not going to be pointing right to the button, so how can I get rid of the arrow? I'm sure this is a hacky solution that isn't going to work out in the end, something tells me, but so I think this is the arrow, so let's just test that by getting rid of it. Yeah, see, that's what we want. That will do if it can be like that. So can copy this into my preset table specific class, and as we don't want anything, so we don't want any border. There we go. So I should be able to get rid of everything else here. Alright, that will do. Yeah, there'll be a better solution at some point, but at least this this shows the idea. Okay, so that's good. Now I do actually need to get rid of all of these though, so I'm gonna have to I'm just going to clear the application state for the presets. And then, hold on a minute, they should be gone. There we go. There we go. And now I need to not be able to create a new preset with that name. So if I say preset keywords template, this is going to cause problems. So it's the same name, and then if I... Oh, well, I suppose this is fine actually. Because they've got different IDs. So now if I create a run with I don't know which one's the example one and which one's not. Well, let's get rid of that one and call it keywords template 2. Create the run keywords template 2. Let that run. That's all nice. How great's that? Got results for every record there. And now if I go back to the playground and I want to delete that, are you sure you want to delete this preset? This preset is used by one run 1. So I delete that, the preset's gone, and the run is gone. So that's all working. I just need to improve the there was a little bit of space missing. Presets table in the message. There we go. Add that space there, and then I think we're there. So that is done, and let's say that's done. So it's a bit muddled doing 2 tasks in one there and getting sidetracked, but I don't mind, I can handle it, and it's all got done. So I think this is shaping up quite well. Well, I think that's a good place to stop. So, how do we stop this train?